albeit a small percentage of the Black community that is committing violent crime and doing the chaotic things that are really destroying every major city, destroying our country, making people racist, giving people a reason to be racist. More and more you're seeing these murder statistics. Black people are 13% of the population, learning that Black people, being only 13% of the population, are committing around 54% of the murders in America. That is insane. That is absolutely insane. Okay. I've made it very clear to so many people, 90% of the murders of people who look like me are murdered by other people who look like me. So I get it. When you talk about drug related arrests, when you talk about theft, when you talk about just any sort of violent crime, for the most part, Black people are committing a disproportionate amount. But that being said, we have to remember that this is a small percentage within the Black community that is doing that is destroying the neighborhoods. But that small percentage, probably what, 2% of the Black community or of the population, that's them creating the chaos. But still, why is there being such a case of Black people doing this? The Black community, we have to shift our culture. We have to be more hands-on with our kids. We need to stop allowing our kids to romanticize hood rattery, this ghetto culture, this ghetto aesthetic. And, somebody said this on X and it really bothered me. It's like, you can't just blame the culture because you see white kids listening to the same hood rap music, but they're not the ones more often than not living this out. Okay, so maybe because ultimately it is still a cultural thing, but it's not just the music, it's Black people and Black parents. We need to do, or I'm not a parent yet, chill, but my kid would know better. Black parents need to do a better job of making sure that when the song ends, so does that energy. When the song ends, remember that it's make believe. Learning to not feel the need to act out all the things that you're seeing in media. The things that you should be acting out is pursuing passion and pursuing your dreams and pursuing an education. Not to try to impress the local thugs in your neighborhood and going to rob people and thinking that's going to give you credibility. And there's a lot of Black kids, and this is something I want to dive more into on another episode. But, when it comes to gang culture is really misunderstood. A lot of these kids will join gangs because they don't trust the police. So that's their way of wanting to keep their neighborhood safe. Well, I wish more of these Black kids understood that a way to keep your neighborhood safe and to keep your community and your people protected, go join law enforcement. Go join the force, because there is nothing that these major police departments love more than a kid from the hood who wants to join the force. You will see police officers bending over backwards to try to convince some of these kids from troubled homes to join the force because they understand the mindset and they have respect in the community. That is a way that you can protect your neighborhood. But instead, we're seeing this constant cycle of chaos from Black youth. And I hate to say it, because there's this narrative that being a Black conservative means that you hate yourself and you hate being Black. I love being Black. I am so pro-Black. Shout out to Black women. Shout out to Black men. Shout out to Black history. I love the history. I love the story of triumph and what we did as a community to overcome adversity. We didn't sit there and allow ourselves to be broken. We built, we fought, we did what we had to do, and Black people continue to be just the pinnacle of creativity and innovation in so many ways. But we're not showing that the way that we used to. I'm proud of what Black people have done. I want to be proud of what Black people are doing. And right now, it's hard to feel that way when I see these statistics. Then I saw this tweet from Matt Walsh that I thought was really interesting. And this has caused quite a stir. I've had a number of people reach out to me to ask how I feel about this. I ain't got my eyes on, so to read this better, I'm going to pull this up on my phone. Don't mind me, Joe. Matt Walsh said, if I told you that a young man stabbed another young man, and this is referring to Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony situation. If I told you that a young man stabbed another young man to death for telling him that he was in the wrong seat, and then I told you that one young man in this altercation was white and the other was Black, and then I asked you to guess the race of the assailant, every single person would know the answer immediately. Young Black males are violent to a wildly outrageous, disproportionate degree. That's just a fact. We all know it. And it's time that we speak honestly about it, and nothing will ever change. That tweet made me so unbelievably mad because it's true. It's true. It's true. And I get what Matt Walsh is saying. You know, that's Matt Walsh's style. He holds no punches. He says it how it is. He's straightforward with it. But unfortunately, his followers can't understand the nuance of what he's saying. I don't take Matt Walsh's tweet as a call to action to attack all black people or to demonize all black people. But what some of his followers are now saying, and what I'm seeing is the common discourse on X, that's what they are saying. The common discourse on X, the amount of people calling me all types of N-words now because of this situation, and because I tried to add nuance to the conversation while condemning Carmelo Anthony, people are saying that just because I even added nuance and added, literal factual details to the conversation, people are now calling me all kinds of N-words and saying that I'm the problem. And I'm not the only black person dealing with this in the conservative movement. So one other thing I thought was interesting was Kim Klacik. Shout out to my girl, Kim Klacik. She had this to say to Matt Walsh. She added into the conversation, I can agree with this take. I have another. Female teachers sleeping with their minor students all have two things in common. They are white and from the suburbs. We should be able to discuss this honestly as well. People were mad. But statistically speaking, and, even Bryson Gray, if you know him, Bryson Gray is very aggressive in his takes sometimes, but even Bryson Gray was getting fed up with the amount of constant slamming on black people when you can play that same game with white people. When it comes to, PDF files, so when it comes to, human trafficking, and it comes to a lot of the, sexual abuse on minors. I think you can say that. It's YouTube. Don't want to get demonetized. That's disproportionately a lot of white people. But what I'm never going to do is go around and pointing the finger at white people and say, hey, you're a white teacher from the suburbs. Are you out, trying to get at these kids? I would never do that. And Kim Klacik wouldn't either. So Kim Klacik, what she was doing was in a clever way of, adding to the discussion. Let's not play that game. Let's not play this game of, yes, there's a disproportionate amount of this problem coming from one race, so we're going to blame everyone in that race with that issue. Okay? We should be able to address these disproportionalities with a fair conversation, but it shouldn't be used as a catch-all. Okay? That's what Kim was saying. And that's why I love Kim Klacik, because she did it in such a subtle way. But we have to learn how to have these conversations in a more concise manner, because otherwise it's just this lazy level of racism. It's lazy.